would lots of exposure to heavy, he all caps it, that's why I said that, to heavy mixed grip deadlifts influence the infrasternal angle over time? I have a few clients with asymmetrical ISAs who are strong, 200 plus kilogram deadlifts. Damn, that is strong. And they all historically have opted for right hand supinated, left hand pronated, especially for near maxes. I guess it could be a chicken egg situation where they opt for that strategy based on structural constraints, or is the structure reinforced by that strategy? I'll just preface this. What we don't know. We don't know if doing things asymmetrically are going to predispose you to having asymmetrical infrasternal angles, because we don't have any research, and I haven't taken someone who has a relatively symmetrical infrasternal angle and then had them do something a certain way and then retest it over a period of time. So I don't think we can say with confidence if that's the case. But interestingly enough, you mentioned that, and he dove in a little bit deeper. He said they were narrower on the left, wider on the right. Let me preface: you can't be narrow on one side and wide on the other. And he mentioned a specific type of grip: right hand supinated, left hand pronated. I think that actually those two things are intimately linked. When you see someone who has a asymmetrical ISA with a narrower on the left side and wider on the right side, chances are what you're dealing with is a rotational action through the spine. In the lumbar and thoracic spine, both of those areas exhibit type 1 mechanics when we're discussing Fryet's laws. Now, these laws have come into question because a lot of it depends on the degree of flexion extension that's occurring in the spine, as well as the position of instantaneous center of rotation. So what is the rotational point that I am looking at when it comes to me moving the spine? But basically what the type 1 mechanics are is when I side bend, in this case to the left, and I rotate oppositely to the right, that would be a type 1 Fryet mechanic. So side bend and rotation are opposites, and they're a coupled mechanic. In this case, if I have a narrowing on the left ISA and the right appears wider, that is because the spine is side bent to the left. And then guess what, folks? It's going to be rotated to the right. Now, interestingly enough, what would I do with my arms to induce a rotation to the right? Oh, wait a minute. Matt said that a right hand supinated and a left hand pronated are what type of deadlift grip these are using. Well, guess what, folks? That arm position is right rotation of the spine, because when I ER my right arm, that's going to increase posterior expansion on the right, meaning the spinous processes are going to move to the left. When I pronate the left arm, that's going to increase anterior expansion, meaning there's going to be more posterior compression, which, guess what, folks, is right rotation of the spine. So it does not surprise me that these two things are linked. However, Matt, I will echo when you said, is it a chicken or egg thing? I don't think we can say if the structure has dictated that they do better with this, or if they do this and that caused the structure to adapt. Because the other thing we have to take into consideration too is the asymmetry in the ISA that you have alluded to is also to some degree normal because of the viscera. And there's a lot of other factors that go into a general rightward bias within us. So my thought is there's a lot of convoluted reasons as to why this could be linked, but they are linked, because when you do rightward rotation, you're going to get a concomitant side bend in the spine, and that can make the ISA appear to be asymmetrical, although it is not. The infrasternal angle, the narrowness and the wideness of the ISA are the structural components that you're seeing, because this is just the way we're built. Again, I would check out the torso integration hypothesis by Torres Tamayo, because they talk a lot more in detail about those structural differences between us. Now, interestingly enough, you could look at some testing for these peeps to see if they needed to do things to involve leftward rotation, because if you switch your grip, you pronate on the right, you supinate on the left, that's going to induce some rotation to the left. And that may actually side bend them to the right, which, if they don't have dynamic capabilities in their ISA, that could totally be a potential move you could give these folks. Things that would point you that they needed that would be the asymmetrical ISA, 1. 2, if they have anything that would indicate a loss of rotation to the left. That could be seated rotation, it could be cervical rotation, it could be a loss of ER on the left, flexion on the left, loss of IR on the right. Those would all be things you might see that would implicate this person needs rotation to the left. You could use the heavy deadlift to try and improve that, and you may need to do some tougher exercises to induce the changes in movement options with these strong people. But you could also do things that just involve single arm work. Anything that would drive rotation to the left could potentially influence this. To summarize your amazing question, Matt, asymmetrical ISA is, especially if it's narrow left, wide right, most common, is a side bend and rotation, side bend ipsilateral, rotation contralateral, which is type 1 Friet mechanics. That can be influenced by asymmetrical ISAs, or at least feeds into that. You would have to have a right supinated, left pronated grip to do that. If you did the opposite, you would rotate the opposite way. So these folks who you're talking about may need to drive more leftward rotation in order to improve their movement options and keep deadlifting like a bunch of bosses.